We're back, joined, I believe, for the first time here at Secure Freedom Radio by Representative Mike Fitzpatrick. He represents with distinction the people of the 8th District of my old native state, Pennsylvania. He is a member of the Committee on Financial Services. We're going to talk a little bit about one of the important subjects that committee needs to be addressing, and he is terrorism financing in a moment. But I want to start with something else that he's been involved in as the chairman of the Congressional Ukrainian Caucus. Congressman, welcome to Secure Freedom Radio. It's great to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, Frank. I am a first-time participant, and I appreciate your having me.
We hope you'll come back often. Listen, just for starters, it seems as though a situation that has been very bad for a while now is taking a dramatic turn for the worse. Give us a flavor of how you see what's happening on the ground in a nation that wants to be part of the West, Ukraine.
Things they do seem to be getting worse, and it's exactly opposite of what the administration seems to be peddling as the current state of affairs. We all want the peace talks to succeed, for the Minsk agreements to be held, but they're not. And during the course of that entire process, many members of Congress, those on the Foreign Affairs Committee, those of us who also are members of the Ukraine Caucus, which is a bipartisan caucus, Sandra Levin, Marcy Kaptur, Democrats, myself, we co-chair it. We've been pressing the administration to provide something that's completely and currently authorized by the United States Congress, which is to provide defensive weapons to the people of Ukraine so they can defend themselves against the obvious and significant aggression of Putin and Russia. So, currently the president and the administration are saying the peace is holding and we want to hold off on providing any defensive weapons. We're saying, it's almost unanimous in Congress, by the way, we want the peace process to work. As Reagan used to say, peace through strength. The way to hold Putin's feet to the fire is make sure he understands that his aggression is going to be met with force by the people of Ukraine who are prepared to fight and defend. They want that ability. They can't currently with what they have. We can provide it to them. It's authorized, and we should do it now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and it's a travesty that it hasn't happened before. It appears that in the absence of even that very modest pushback by the United States and a sort of faltering effort on sanctions, that Putin is being emboldened, predictably. There's talk from the president of Ukraine that a full-scale invasion of Ukraine may be in the offing. Do you anticipate that's forthcoming?
Well, we're concerned that Putin, in invading the peninsula of Crimea, has not got what he's looking for yet, that he has further aggressive interests. We want to be, again, prepared for it, realistic about it. Poroshenko has certainly sounded the alarm, but there are many in the region that are also concerned about it. So, again, the way to meet that is being prepared to defend yourselves. And for people of Ukraine, that means we in the United States have to step up and provide what's currently authorized. The sanctions, don't seem to be working as we intended. I think we ought to enforce every sanction currently in place and probably turn them up a little bit. We've got the ability through newfound energy resources in the United States to really develop them and begin using energy, oil, and gas from the United States to help our friends in the region so that they're not forced to turn to Russia for those energy resources, which in turn only hurts our sanctions.
And which we've seen Putin very aggressively using as leverage to counteract our leadership, such as it is.
But if we continue to develop and we can drive down the cost of energy, price of energy globally, we can really, and that's part of what happened 30 years ago. You bring Russia to its to the old Soviets to their knees economically, by hurting them where their strength is. That's what we should be doing.
You bet. I know you've been a champion of fracking, and one of the things that is an obvious play here is to enable the Europeans to exploit, notably Poland, very substantial resources that they could access through fracking. But of course, Putin is working to try to shut that down through a number of means, and has had quite a considerable success. So I'm with you on trying to wean the Europeans from their dependency. My old boss Ronald Reagan made a major point of doing that, of course.
He did, and hydraulic fracturing, we've been doing that in Pennsylvania for decades. The technology is really being perfected. and it's getting much better. So we're getting better in the United States, and we should invest resources in geology and engineering. There are a lot of jobs there as well, jobs on the engineering side, and then the development and the energy production side. We should be sharing that technology with our friends in Eastern Europe, because it's not just about driving down the cost of energy, which helps manufacturing and creates jobs, but it's a huge national security issue for us.
It sure is. One other huge national security issue that you're playing a leading role on, Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick, is with respect to the financing of terrorist organizations, including but not restricted to Hezbollah. You recently had a legislative initiative adopted unanimously in the House of Representatives that would put further sanctions in place to try to prevent terrorism financing of that designated terrorist organization. Tell us where you think we are with respect to these kinds of activities and what we should be doing now against not just Hezbollah but others as well.
And there are many others now. So you've got ISIS, Boko Haram, these organizations that a couple of years ago nobody had ever heard of, on the rise and on the march through the Middle East, and they essentially have threatened our allies. They've threatened the Pope in Italy. They've threatened the President of the United States. They've threatened to raise the flag of ISIS over the White House. So I think we need to take them at their word with what their intentions are. There are many ways to combat them, all of which are important. The President focuses on diplomacy, and diplomacy is important. The second leg of the stool is the obvious, military strategies to defeat terrorism. And the third leg of the stool is following the money, cutting off the financial resources. The theory is that if you can strangle out, cut off their flow of funds to the terrorist organizations, you can, prohibit their ability or inhibit their ability to recruit and to train and to equip and to bring terrorism in different parts of the world.
Including here, of course. And what you've really just described, of course, is the strategy that President Reagan used to take down the last totalitarian ideology that tried to destroy our country. And we're, as we were talking about a moment ago, very, very keen on sort of adapting that strategy. We call it the Secure Freedom strategy to today's challenge, and would love to work with you on trying to make sure that this kind of funding is not made available, certainly not as we do today all too often, willy-nilly. And Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick, what are the prospects now that we might see the Senate taking up the kind of legislation that you've successfully got through the House? I can't think of another issue that has achieved this kind of unanimous support from Democrats as well. Can we get it through the House, through the Senate rather now, and to the President?
I think we can, because this is an issue that does bring Democrats and Republicans together. So obviously there's new leadership in the Senate, and we're starting to see, many of the bills that we're adopting and passing in the House of Representatives, and even in the last term, while difficult to get things done, there were hundreds of bills that passed through the House that just sort of languished on Harry Reid's desk. So there's new leadership, and these issues are being taken up. But as between these three strategies, there is, there's debate in the House on diplomatic approaches and military approaches, but on the issue of following the money, so to speak, cutting off the terror finance routes, there is little, if any, light at all between Democrats and Republicans. It really is an issue that brings us together. We saw that in the sanctions bill on Hezbollah that passed through the House, and we've got this task force to investigate terror finance within the Financial Services Committee in the House where I serve. So I'm chairing that, and my ranking member, Steve Lynch from Massachusetts, he's a trusted partner in this, and we're working together. So this is an area that we can work together on. We should.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate, again, your leadership in all of these respects on Ukraine as well as in this terrorism financing, and look forward to working with you to hopefully bring these to fruition.
I look forward to working with the Center for Security Policy. Thanks for everything you've done, for our country, for keeping these issues front and center, and we'll keep in touch.
Good. Thank you, sir. Fred Fleitz joins us next. We'll talk a bit about Iran straight ahead.